Am I on?
You are on. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hello everyone. Hello, Darrow's friends. Some of Darrow's friends are my friends too. So if you're watching, good to see you. Uh, and then I just first, I guess I should just say that I really want to thank Darrow for not just for interviewing me today, but for just for doing this. I just think this is great. I mean, get people talking, get people sharing, and then just create these opportunities for people to share their ideas and share their gifts. I just the world needs a lot of kind of positive things happening from just all of us doing the best we can to make the world a better place, and that's something that I really feel that Darrow is doing with this.
Oh, thanks.
And yeah, absolutely. And then so yeah, I would like to talk about some ideas, and I would like to encourage Darrow to just jump in at any time. Make this more of a kind of a conversation than a babble, I should say, or definitely not a monologue. But I'm
Mhm.
Andy Boerger. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm an essayist, and I'm an instructor. And not in any of those orders. I guess what I really am. I mean, I'm a communicator, and I have some ideas that I want to communicate, which is what this is about. And it's about the environment. It's about sustainability. It's about all kinds of different ideas that I've heard recently. I'm sure you've all heard them too. Some of them would be that we can that basically technology, renewable technology, green technology is it's going to pull us through. I think Al Gore is a great presenter. I think he's a great speaker, but he's just super gung ho on this idea that once we get past parity grid, which once we get past where it's cheaper to produce and operate factories from renewable energy than it is from oil, then oil just becomes obsolete, and we've got a bright green future ahead.
Mhm.
And then you've got other people that say, well, no, we've really screwed up this planet, so we better start thinking about, at least so that the human race can survive, not you, not me, not the people watching this, but some
Mhm.
people would become like a space seed and they would set up a colony on Mars, and so Homo sapiens can continue even as we basically shrivel and die with the rest of the biosphere.
Mm.
And so these ideas, and then there's the idea, even the idea of the singularity. And there are people that'll tell you, well, just hang on, because 30 or 40 years from now, computers are going to be so much smarter than us that they're going to handle this. They're going to take a look at what needs to be done to save the environment, and they'll take care of it. So our own little Frankenstein monster is going to, he's got this, or she's got this. And these ideas are also bizarre to me, because I really feel like they all seem to miss the essential point that I mean, we're animals, right? And we are a species. We're a species of primate,
Mm.
and we forget that.
Mm.
um, and we forget that, we I would say, like for example, some of the cells on my skin, at some point in the not too distant past, because I think cells rejuvenate every 7 years or something, could have been part of a plant, or could have been part of a squirrel, or could have been part of a bird.
Mhm.
At a cellular level, this idea of taking us and removing us to the stars is, to me, kind of and this is just my idea, but I think that it's not recognizing that we are participatory in the life experience of Earth, the
Mm.
Gaia experience, at a
Mm.
molecular and a cellular level, and
Mm.
also at a species. We are a species, like every other species, and so rather than kind of thinking that we're going to use the left hemisphere of our brain and our brilliance with technology to save us, what I want us to do is just get back to the recognition that um, we should be part of what I call well, basically the ideas that I'm going to show you with my artwork is the idea of a human forest. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, but I should probably
Mhm.
show the artwork now.
Mm.
So these are coming from different periods, and they have different purposes. But let's go ahead and start. So this one, this is Rene Descartes, right? This is I think, therefore I am. And so if you look at the top, well, he's got the thinker on his head, and the reason the pug is there is because the pug is such a basically, I mean, a pug was a wolf, right? A pug is a wolf that we just kept modifying and modifying and modifying and modifying, and cows. They say that cows. We've modified cows to the point where their udders are so basically filled with milk that without milking machines, they would just explode, or anyway, the cow would not be able to. So it's not a natural cow. The bananas are not natural. Corn, all the things at the top are basically human devastation to the environment, or human basically screwing around with it to get these hybrids, which basically don't even really function as without humans to take care of pugs. I think they all have asthma or something like that, and they need us. And as much as the cows would really prefer, that we don't do all the horrible things we do to cows. I think even they need us to milk them. But then you get down to the bottom, and so he's got the animal body. He's part of this biosphere. So he's a human. The upper part is kind of where he's a human, and the lower part of the illustration is where he's still a human, but he's a human as a species. And that idea is going to come up again and again. So this one, this is my Adam and Eve picture, but it's all technology. I like how that's kind of like instead of the apple, it's an apple, it's an Apple device.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, just like they've eaten the fruit of consumerism. They've eaten the fruit of mass production, and the rest of the world is kind of paying the price. So kind of the idea that that was the real tree of, what they call it, the tree of knowledge, right? Or the tree of good and evil. I think depends on the translations, but Eve, she ate the fruit of knowledge, and so this is sort of my symbol for that. And
Right.
this is from an essay that I wrote, and I do want to quote some of that at the end of this.
Okay.
So then I started to do some drawings, and the next group of them is where they're basically tree people, or something very similar to that. Because I'm just trying to just in my own mind, and for people that view my art, I'm just trying to just really bring that home, that we're part of the earth, and the earth is part of us. Um, and like I said before, some of the cells on my skin could have been part of the tree that we're looking at, maybe at an atomic level or molecular level, uh, 8 or 9 years ago. So we are kind of tree people. And apologies for if there's anybody with like a really sharp scientific sensibility here. You can probably correct me on all of these. All of the numbers that I'm using are just coming out of a certain part of me, but hopefully the spirit of my ideas are being conveyed.
Spirit's coming through.
Good, great. So yeah, so here's, well, yeah, again, this is a child, the baby, the bird. He's a species. He's part of Earth. This is maybe the oldest one. This is probably the first one. Still, in some ways, maybe one of my favorites.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. And this one, some people say it's a little bit creepy, like she's buried, but I mean, that she's roots. She's got roots.
Not creepy. No.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So then, oh well, this, yeah, just our creativity. This is a little bit different, but there we go with this
The
idea.
other one's more creepy with Adam and Eve and the technology. That to me,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's really creepy, is how
It is creepy.
technology has just taken over human beings' like lives from morning till night. That's creepy to me.
It is
Yeah.
creepy. And so, like, I was talking to my students at the university where I teach, and it's, if we go into a supermarket, then we can look and say, oh, that's where all the food is, and that's where the medicine is, and da 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 da. But the like somebody from an Aboriginal tribe or something, they would just, what are all these boxes? Like, what, I don't know what, you're telling me there's food in this strange place. And but it would be the same for us. We could go, if we go to one of their forests and they'd say, oh, you can eat that. If you eat that, you'll die. You probably don't want to eat that. That's good. And they would probably even be able to talk about what some of the different edible foods that they're telling us could actually do for different parts of our body. This will strengthen. We eat this because it makes us smarter. I mean, they've learned all this, and we're, so we would look at a wilderness that we wouldn't be able to make heads or tails of, but we've turned our food places into something that any really kind of natural person would just, it's just a bunch of boxes. You eat boxes? No, 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 there's food inside. Well, why is there food inside? So, yeah. So, well, this is kind of a fun one. I mean, you can just see the face. This is joy. Like I said, all of these are coming from kind of different times, so they all have different. It's not a series in a kind of a larger sense. It's just a series of things where it's all kind of the same idea of
Mhm.
mixing other species with humans.
Mm.
Here's a tree
Wow,
man.
nice. Great.
Um, Thanks. Here's a tree. This is singer, the tree of song. I call this. This is part of another. This is part of a poem that I wrote called "The Garden." But the singer needed the human, the protagonist really needed to learn that he had a voice inside of him, which is maybe what I'm doing now. I'm trying to find my voice and I'm trying to share my voice with my ideas. So again, thank you, Darrow, for today.
Mm.
He needed to find his voice, and actually this person, his teacher, this is his teacher, kind of guided him and said, you really need to find a voice. And so they planted a seed tree, a song tree together.
All
And
right.
this is that scene.
Great.
And
Mm.
then, okay, and so this is one where the shared roots.
Mm.
Again, I talked before about how we kind of mistreat our livestock, and but really in some ways we're sort of kind of mistreating ourselves because we're not recognizing at,
Mm.
at, at a deeper level. We're again we're one species, and
Mm.
we share ourselves, we share our molecules, we share a lot of percentage of our DNA with so many other species on this planet, and we treat them as if it's just what we can do whatever we want. What it would just it's our world, it's our planet.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's or then and we'll screw this one up and then we'll go to Mars.
How absurd.
Like any sane being in the universe would welcome, I mean, like even somebody like on Jupiter would say, no, that's getting too close. Mars, geez, that's just one planet over. We can't we they're just going to destroy Mars and then they're coming for us.
Mhm.
So yeah, so then I got to the idea of centaurs, and so these are my recent ones, and so I'm just having a lot of fun with centaurs, and part human, part something else. So that centaurs seem just kind of be a
Great.
natural
I
form.
like
So I
this one.
think, thanks. So yeah, this is a series where I've got the centaur musicians is
Wow,
three,
wow, wow. Mhm.
um, and yeah, I mean, they're making music, they're having fun.
Beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Nice. Mm.
That's my last one. So this one, I'm gonna have to. I'll probably do a more serious version, is where that trombone is way too short, and people could point out that, yeah. Because I should just say it's the process. I don't do any under pencil drawings or any. This I just pick up a pen and I just go.
Mm.
So
Mm.
all the warts and all aspect of is there.
Mm. 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 Great.
Um, and then
Wonderful.
maybe, yeah. So
Mm.
that's just I like to draw elephants. So here's Centaur having fun with an elephant,
Yeah.
making the
Wonderful.
world happen, making music happen.
Mm.
And then I think the last, well, this then I started to get really weird. Would it still be a centaur? Would it still be a centaur if it was if officially, or would we have to give it a different name, or Um, so yeah, I drew a reverse centaur. Maybe like left-handed. If centaurs have babies, like one out of every 30 or so is born this way.
Andy, I mean, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, this is not coming from what I think, because everything you've said, I think we are so on the same page. But what I get when I start saying similar things in a different way, but like trying to make similar points that human beings are connected to Earth, that we've like kind of gone away from what we were, dare I say, intended to do, the way we were intended to live. People are like, what do you want to stop progress? You want to stop evolution?
All the time, right,
Right,
right.
right. You get that, don't you?
Yeah, and
You know, they're
probably
like,
you get they'll even say to you like, look at this guy, he's writing on a computer, right?
"Mhm,
He's typing this out on a computer,
mhm,
but he's
mhm."
saying that technology is bad. That sort
Yeah,
of ridiculous uh, uh, um, uh, oversimplification. Yeah, I get that.
mhm,
You know what I'm
mhm.
talking about. Yeah,
Right. Get that a lot. Like to dare say that things have gotten out of control, that we're going in a bad direction, and that we need to like come back to something more natural.
yeah,
Like people are like so like some people are so like offended by it, or like
yeah,
they defend technology because they feel like this is progress. You can't
right,
like interfere with progress. Progress, this is like we're moving ahead and this is the way things are, that this direction is natural, and that like to suggest that we should like kind of curb
mm,
what we're the way we're using technology and kind of move back to something that makes more sense
mm,
is somehow like unnatural to
right.
suggest something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that in some ways that's a very arrogant thought, because it kind of really basically that's a winner's thought, because sorry, not species, there are tribes, even today there are tribes that live the way that they've lived for thousands and thousands of years, and they have a totally different viewpoint about life, so that's kind of the progress is natural to human beings. Doesn't it, and in so many ways, it doesn't really, you break it down and that's not even really true. So for example, the fact that there are 7 billion people on this, or maybe 8 billion people, that's not natural for human beings either. It, I think, like, if you go back 100 years ago, it was still, we weren't even at 2 billion. So 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 let's say that because we've eradicated so many natural living peoples, the American Indians, the Australian Aborigines, and the Amazonian
Mm,
tribes, and so forth. That let's say that 99, well, it's probably not 99, but probably something like 97% of all the people on Earth are part of that sort of this thrust of progress and so forth. But there's still 3% of the population of the planet that don't see this as, they don't see that as natural. They're not trying to progress. They're trying to, they're preserve the ways of their ancestors. So
mm,
even in that sense, if you talk about what would naturally have happened if we had not gone on this kind of this technological escapade, is that the population of humans on Earth would probably be somewhere, maybe, in the lower hundreds of millions.
mm,
And that but now we've got 8 billion people, and so if we're going to say that those 8 billion people, and then let's say 7.7 billion of them are living this industrial progress is the key thing,
mm,
we're talking about a lot of extra people. and
mm,
and 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 that's why we treat people like they're extra. That's why Amazon treats people like they're extra, that we because nobody's really looking out for you. If you fall through the cracks, there's so it's just excess. We're like an excess number of human beings, and so
mm,
we haven't really set up a society that cares for each member of the tribe the way that I'm hoping, or maybe I'm idealizing, the ancient tribes did do. I mean, of course they knew that people were going to get sick, and um I'm going to assume that most of those tribes did everything they could to take care of people that fell. If their hunters got wounded, they brought them back and they gave them the medicine that they could. Or if they had to, if they got killed or sorry, if they got killed in a battle with another tribe, they took care of the widows. They took care
mm,
of they took care of the children,
mm,
because there were no extra people then.
mm,
And of course, you know me. I'm not saying that they're really extra. Every life is valuable, but
mm,
our society has created excess number of people. Because the society doesn't need this many, if a bunch of people become homeless, or a bunch of people, have to, just society just, it keeps rolling. It's going to keep cranking out its devices and things that everybody has to buy.
mm, mm,
So yeah, so this idea that progress is natural, or progress, that's the human species,
mm,
I think that's a winner's viewpoint. And it's certainly it's an arguable point, but it's
mm,
also it's a point that can be countered as well.
mm. Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
I am here to counter that.
Right. Oh yeah, and me too. And like I said, I really kind of feel like I'm sort of kind of waking up to what my role is. So I think like for example, if we were to do something like this a year from now, then there's going to be more tree drawings. I'm kind of integrate it all more. But this idea of we we uh, we're a species, we're part of the biosphere. We belong, even though we've been, we're like a prodigal son. We've committed so many transgressions against Gaia, but we
Mm,
still belong.
mm,
Um, and because we cannot not belong. I mean, we have molecules, we have cells, we are organisms. We cannot not be
mm,
members of Gaia, even as much as we abuse her.
mm, mm.
Um,
Great.
so yeah, so that's the idea. And then if I could, I'm just going to go ahead and read this passage, and then we can keep the conversation going. But I just want to make sure that I do get it said, because this is where I start to put my idea of the human forest, maybe in its, I talk about it at its clearest point. So this is an essay that I wrote a long time ago called The Descent of Man.
Mhm,
And it's short. This is how I finished that essay. Nevertheless, that is not an excuse to stay on our present course, as it leads down a road toward extinction. We can use our minds to imagine and create a new Eden. Our children can be the butterflies and birds that spread the seeds through their vigor and curiosity. Our senior citizens can be the massive sycamores that hold the very life of the forest in their hearts and minds. Every one of us must discover our place in this new human forest before we can reintegrate ourselves with the broader ecosystem, both on our terms and its. As wasteful as our modern society is, what we are wasting more than anything is our minds. As destructive as we are to the planet, what we are destroying, perhaps even more rapidly, is our humanness. We have to remember what that means first, to be human, if we want to be sane again. And that's how that finishes. And so that's called The Descent of Man, kind of a take on the Darwin book, The Descent, Descent. Mine is
mhm.
The Dissent, Dissent, The
Oh,
Descent of Man. You can find that if you're just going to Google Andy Boerger, The Descent of Man, you'll find it. It's on my blog. I would love for people to read it. Um, and I use that essay a lot when I teach my students at the university where I teach. I'm just trying to, just spread this idea. And if you've got an argument against it, bring it.
bring it.
Like you were saying, that if you're going to be someone that maintains that that's all silliness, then look at this guy on his computer complaining
Mm,
about technology, blah blah blah.
mm,
If you want to bring that, bring whatever. But if you want to try to argue that there's something like really really natural about the way that we live right now, I don't think you can make a very strong case of it.
mm,
I just really don't. I don't think you can argue by any stretch of the imagination that what what this world is right now is natural. um, and I really wish it was, and that's kind of what my art is going to more and more become about.